Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Sage and Seer. We're here in the Emporium, which is awesome, coming along really amazingly. And I'm going to be opening the Emporium on the 1st of July, 2023. And I'm really so happy today to be talking to Paula Jeffrey from Canada, who is going to be one of my suppliers. She is also a homeopath, and she's created the most beautiful homeopathic oracle deck, and we're going to just dive straight into talking about that today. And like, as soon as her cards arrive, they'll be for sale in the Emporium. So really warm welcome, Paula. Thank you so much for joining us. Give us a little introduction about yourself, and yeah, tell us how you found homeopathy.
Cool. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to chat finally and get to know each other a little bit more.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm in Canada. I'm in Manitoba, and I found homeopathy quite young compared to many other people, it seems. I was 13 when I first saw a homeopath, kind of just fell into my life. My sister saw one for some issues she was having as a family friend recommended it. And I was curious about it for some stuff I was dealing with. So my mom said, sure, let's give it a try. And so I saw the homeopath, and I still remember the first appointment was just so fascinating to me. I understood none of it, had no idea what it was, but my
Yeah.
homeopath did it all by book back then. So she had
Oh,
all
wow.
books, yeah, and she's just flipping through them and asking me all these weird questions. And I think it was really impactful for me because I was a pretty quiet kid and didn't always feel like I got the space to share what I needed to share about myself, especially in medical settings. And so having this space with a homeopath for, 90 minutes or whatever it may be, where she was really attentive to anything that I felt was important to my health, and being heard in that way was really, really impactful for me. So that was kind of the beginning for me, was seeing that first homeopath. And I don't remember when I first said it to my parents, but shortly after that, I was like, I'm going to be a homeopath. And
Oh, wow. Wow.
yeah. I'm very lucky to have the parents that I do, because they were just like, yeah, okay, sure. We'll see how it goes.
Are they kind of like, like hippies or?
Not really. Like, they both grew up on farms, so pretty
Mm,
natural in that sense. Like, they grew up with the earth, in a farming sense. But we definitely, we take a pill here or there, take an Advil, take whatever.
yeah.
Um, we all were pretty healthy growing up. I think we have good blood or something, because none of us really had major issues growing up. I think I had antibiotics once or something as a kid for an eye infection,
Wow.
but
Amazing.
really we were quite healthy. So there's kind of that maybe luck of the draw that we didn't have a lot of big health issues that caused a lot of suppression. Or maybe my parents were pretty good about being like, well, go take a nap or go take a poop, like
Yeah,
see what
just
you
try
want to do.
something normal instead of, yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So and yeah, I think I've just been very lucky with that. And I've always been a little bit more natural minded. So my parents maybe kind of saw that in me, and knew how to support it. So once I graduated, I graduated high school, my parents said that I could do homeopathy, but I had to get a real degree first. So I did my undergrad in psychology, which I really am grateful to have done, because I think it gave me some life wisdom before I went into homeopathy,
Yes,
versus
yeah,
going in when I was a fresh 18-year-old.
yeah.
And then yeah, went and studied homeopathy, and it was everything I could have
Wow.
been.
So your childhood when you grew up, was that also on a farm, or had your mum and dad kind of met, got married, and moved to a town, or?
Yeah, my
Yeah.
parents moved to the city when they were quite young. They, at 18 or whatever, they lived across the street from each other when they
Oh,
were kids.
wow.
Street from each other. Yeah. So they've known each other their whole lives, and they moved to the city once they were 18, and we've lived here forever. So I grew up in the suburbs. So it was
Okay,
pretty,
yeah, yeah.
not a farm. No, we still
Yeah,
garden.
yeah. And
Yeah.
your psychology degree, Paula, was that, I think here it's a bit longer than 4 years to do psychology. What length of time did it take you to do that degree?
I did mine in 3 years. So we have a
Okay,
3-year bachelor here. So that's what I
okay,
did. Yeah.
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 And then so kind of as soon as you finished that, did you have like a summer off and then you went straight into homeopathy or?
Well, I think I graduated in June and then I moved to Toronto in August to start homeopathy school. So it was pretty quick, but yeah.
Wow, yeah. And who did you do your training with?
I studied at the Canadian College of Homeopathic Medicine. So it's over in Toronto. We've been
Oh,
around for
fab, yeah.
25 years or something. So yeah, it was really good. I
And
really
how
enjoyed it.
many schools? How many schools are there in Canada for to do your homeopathic studies?
I'm not totally sure. I know there's 2 in Ontario. I think there's 1 in BC. I'm not sure if it's still there.
Yeah.
Um, there might be 1 small kind of private group in Alberta as well. So maybe 4. Is there
Okay. Yeah.
4 or
There
5?
was
So,
when I did Dynamis with Jeremy Sher, which actually has just wrapped up this week. I only did the first 2 years because COVID hit and everything, and it went all online. And I just didn't have the heart to do it online. But there was 2 sisters that used to fly over from Canada to do it with us.
wow.
Yeah. So that was amazing. It was a real international collection of people for the Irish Dynamis, I think. So
That's so
yeah, there
cool.
seems like homeopathy is really kind of starting to expand and grow in Canada.
Yeah, I think so. It's kind of at that point. I'm sure it's like this everywhere, but the skeptics are getting quite a bit louder. So that must mean that we're doing something right, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think
Yeah,
that's probably one of the best things that's happened for us with the last few years is that it's forced people to look at other options for health and, homeopathy has exploded. So it's been
yeah,
awesome in that respect. They can't
yeah,
silence us, can they? We're just not going to go away. And like you say, the louder they shout, then it's obviously working.
yeah. We're, I always think we're experts at fighting suppression, so we're never going to go anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And oh, that's amazing. So once you did the 3 years then for psychology and the homeopathic studies there, was it fast track? Did you do 2 year intensive or
Uh,
longer?
homeopathy was 3 years. Yeah, three
Okay.
years.
Yeah. And when did you graduate?
So I graduated in 2017, and then I moved back to Winnipeg here and started practicing. That first year is kind of clumsy, but started getting some footing, and then I really got kicked into gear probably year two or three or so. So now I'm about 6 years out, and I feel like I'm sort of settled in practicing. You know
That's
how it
the
takes
same as
quite a
me.
while.
I'm the
Yeah,
same as
right?
well, 6 years. Yeah.
Cool. That's so cool.
Yeah. My
And how?
first year was really rocky as well. My dad got diagnosed with lung cancer, and I literally found out the night before my graduation.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, it was bad. But anyway, everything happens for a reason, doesn't it? And that was my first opportunity to put my training really into practice. I used the Banerjee protocols on him. And they were amazing. They worked so well on him. They had given him 2 weeks to live, and he lasted 8 months. So
Wow.
yeah,
Amazing.
amazing. Yeah.
What a learning experience for you, I'm
Oh
sure.
man, I tell you. And even when he was passing, he he really didn't want to die. And I know this is quite a personal story to share, but his death was actually really magical because he died the way he wanted to die. And we were all in the room with him. He was in his own bed, and you could see he didn't want to go.
Mhm.
And so I gave him some aconite, and me and mum literally seen him like leave his body and go. My mum was just absolutely gobsmacked at what was going on, and his whole body just softened and off he went. So it was really incredible, actually. Just
Wow,
felt that fear. You know, he must have been right on the threshold and was just holding this energy of not wanting to go. And the
wow,
acolyte just fully released him to the
wow.
next stage.
That's
Yeah,
amazing. Thank you
it
for
was
sharing.
amazing. I mean, it was so sad, obviously, but it was amazing to be there. It's kind of like welcoming a baby into the world is as magical as allowing someone to pass with, you know, in the way that they want to go. And yeah, it was really special time. So
Yeah, yeah.
homeopathy. It's
My
so
mom,
it just like it touches every aspect of our life, doesn't it?
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. That's
So
amazing.
I know, it's amazing. So talk to me about, you know, the last kind of 6 years then, and how's your journey been? And, you know, you've got this amazing podcast, which I just only found out about, The Vital Force, that you do with two other, are they both Canadian homeopaths as well?
So Krista is Canadian. She's from Canada. She lives in the States. And then Kelly is in the States as well. So we have a good little
Fantastic.
blend of it. But yeah, they actually went to the Canadian College of Homeopathic Medicine as well. But we were all at different times, and Kelly
Oh,
did
fab.
distance, and so did Krista. So it was very funny because we met on Instagram and kind of started connecting there. And then it was like, oh, well, we all went to the same school and all these things. So very serendipitous. But yeah, we've really enjoyed getting together to do the podcast each week and just kind of talk homeopathy and whatever else comes up with it. And I'm sure, as you know, like the practice of being a homeopath and running a practice, and it's not, you can't separate it from self. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've come to, maybe I've been smacked in the face with over the last 6 years, is this isn't just a profession that you get into and, you know, do your work day and have no attachment to it. There's so much interconnectedness between your clients and everything that happens and every remedy you give. And yeah, I think for me, it's just been the most transformative journey for myself in terms of healing myself, coming into my own authenticity, my own energy, getting to know who I am. Every step of the way has kind of fostered that, and it seems to be the theme for most. So I feel really grateful that I get to do this like every day.
I was like, I know, it's amazing. I
Yeah.
sometimes think to myself, you've just got to tone it down on the podcast, Janie, because you're so excited the whole time. But I just genuinely am. We are in such an incredible profession. And you're right, you can't just turn it off. You don't just go home and like take your hat off and then that's it. It's a lifestyle, really, isn't it? And I think we're coming to kind of find that more and more in our profession as it evolves and becomes much more popular and more people are speaking about it. And like yourself, Paula's Instagram is to die for, like so amazing. You just put up such incredible posts, and I've learned heaps from your posts.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, love them. So if you're not like following Paula, I'll put all your details down there. Go and give her a follow. It's really, really cool information you're sharing, and it kind of helps. It's like simplifies things and you just put it into a way that's really relatable and easy to kind of read as well. It's
Yeah.
fresh.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's my goal. I always I think Instagram has become like my diary. It's like the stuff that I'm chewing on. Once I've kind of chomped it down to bite-sized pieces, I've just put it out there and I'm done with it.
Oh,
And now
great.
it's
Yeah,
and
yeah, you get that sense from it anyway. I do think that when I read your posts, oh, she's knee deep in silica at the minute, which was so mad because we messaged each other about that because I'd just been throwing silica at everybody. And then you put a
yes.
post up. I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's the way. And I think that's part of the homeopathic journey of you can't be untouched by it. Everything that you read and engage with, every remedy you take or give, it's gonna reach you in some way. And I think that's a lot of what the Oracle deck became. Was I started to realize that homeopathy isn't just remedies that we take that heal symptoms. They're catalyzers of so much more, whether we take the remedy, whether we just read about the remedy, whether we hear a story of someone who used the remedy, like that aconite story that you just told about your dad. That speaks so beautifully to so many different elements of what homeopathy is, what aconite carries, the medicine that it has. And without even taking it, that gives me a dose of aconite, right? It gives me some insight into not fearing death, to embrace this transition. And I just thought homeopathy is so much more than just remedies that we consume. It's so much more than that. And I wanted to give that light. So
oh, great. So when did the conception of the Oracle deck begin? Like how long ago or soon ago, or
I don't know when it really began. I remember in early January, it was like a Sunday morning and I was journaling, and I just kind of had this thought of like, oh, what about like cards? And I had been thinking about it before, making like an oracle deck of some kind. But that day somehow it connected with like, there's an essence of each remedy, and how can I bring that essence to life through a card? And I started doodling on my journal on it. And I think I posted it on Instagram and just said, what do people think? Like, would you buy this? Is this something? Like very naive and just like, I don't know, is this a ridiculous idea? And the response I got like blew me away. And I was like, oh wow, okay, this isn't just cool to me,
yeah, exactly.
So that's where it really kicked off, I think. And even then I was kind of like, we'll see what happens. I don't know, this might go somewhere, it might not. Maybe this is just another one of those ideas I have that sits in the back of my brain. But I couldn't let it go. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I couldn't stop playing with it. And every time I engaged with a remedy, all I could think about was what's it going to say on that card?
Yeah, how am I going to translate this into bite-sized chunk with the deepest impact and meaning for somebody?
Yes.
Yeah, because like my cards, okay, so my cards arrived today, and I got a text message from the post, it's called, here in Ireland, saying that literally they're holding my cards to ransom. I have to pay €9.13 tax for them to release my Oracle deck.
Ridiculous.
I know, ridiculous. And so I was like, oh my God, we're going to have to get an Oracle mule to start bringing these cards in from Canada. So myself and Paula have worked out a really amazing way to sidestep the tax in Ireland. They love tax in Ireland, by the way, for anyone who's watching. They just tax us on absolutely everything. We have to buy a license to have a tally in this country.
Really?
Yeah, you have to pay money every month or every year to have a TV. Like, everything you think of is taxed here. So importation tax is massive now, especially from England. Since Brexit's happened, we have to pay tax to bring stuff in from there. So Paula and I have come up with this really genius way to get the Oracle cards to Ireland without the tax. So we won't have to add that on to the costings of the deck when we start selling them in the Emporium. So they should be hopefully be here for the opening. Fingers crossed. So really excited. And because I haven't seen the full deck yet, because it's still held to ransom in the customs, how many cards are there exactly? How many did you end up choosing? Because we have over 8,000 homeopathic remedies.
Yeah, so I stuck with 30, and I can show them here.
Oh, look.
You can see them. So we have this beautiful, I worked with an artist, her name's Hahnemann, and she did all of the imagery for me. So I don't know if you can see calc carving.
So
there's
gorgeous.
There's apis, there's some ignatia, it's all in there. So she did beautiful work on the artistry, and then each card backwards, but each card has an image, and a little blurb about, it's kind of like a prompt for reflection and journaling and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
And then a mantra as well. So I came to 30 remedies, kind of the polycrests / the ones that I engage with most often. It's definitely in my mind that there will be expansion packs maybe, or
do you know what? I found myself writing a list for you. Can you do these ones next?
Send it my way.
I'll email it to you. Yeah. And then I was telling Zach Carpenter that I was going to be chatting to you as well. And he'd already got his pack, and he was saying he wants wallpaper and a shower curtain and a tote bag and everything out of the, the pattern that you just showed us on the back of the cards.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea.
They're beautiful, Paula. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You've put so much of your heart and soul into those cards. And I know from watching your stories and reading your posts, it must have been almost like you were doing a proving every time you tapped into one of the remedies that you were, bringing to life in the Oracle deck. So
yeah.
was it like that, or?
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like it was such a beautiful way to get to know homeopathy for me, to really engage deeply with the remedies, and some of them came so easily, and I just, I knew them so well, they just flowed through. Others, it was funny, the ones that I needed the most were the ones that were the hardest to create.
Yeah.
Silica was one that I just couldn't put words on paper. I could not encompass the concept of it. So a lot of them were a lot of kind of reading a whole bunch and then just letting the remedy sit in my mind for a few days. Some of them I took the remedy and hoped that would maybe transmute something for me. So I felt a little Hahnemannian there, because I was like, this is what he would have done. He would have taken the remedy and engaged with
these. Yeah, he was well into experimenting on himself. Yeah, absolutely.
So I do feel like there was an element of proving them and just trying, when you're trying to encompass this massive idea, I wanted to bring in the physical elements and the mental, emotional elements into, 3 lines of text. And in order to do that, I really had to distill a lot of it down. And so in that process, I learned how to, read metaphor and integrate kind of the physical elements of things. Pulsatilla was one that really changed my perspective of how I was doing the cards. And I did an Instagram post on it about.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, kind of understanding Pulsatilla, because there was an element as well of like, what's the message that I want to get across? I want it to feel like when you read the card, you're getting a dose of the remedy. So what is the medicine of the remedy, which is sometimes different. It could be that Pulsatilla's medicine is in my mind, Pulsatilla's medicine was a lot of kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of transcending the feminine. It was about, you give Pulsatilla to a baby who's really weepy and whiny, or a man who's really weepy and whiny during his cold, right? And we're kind of trying to get rid of that weepy whininess, but it didn't feel right that that's actually the medicine. I think the medicine of Pulsatilla is really integrating that feminine, right? And amplifying it and being confident and capable and receiving the care that you need. And that weepy, whiny man being able to just say, I need help, I need support, and feeling really grounded in that. So it was really interesting in that sense to kind of get to know, like, what's the real medicine of each of these remedies, not through necessarily the patriarchal medical lens, but what is the actual medicine of Pulsatilla? It's that it can bend and flow and be soft and survive because it can do that. It can stand on the mountainside, right? And be blowing in the wind and have strong roots and not get destroyed. And that's the magic. So
flex in any circumstances, can't it? And still prevail, amazing.
Yeah, I found that really cool.
Did you find, out of those 30 remedies now, that you have kind of 5 favorites or anything like that? For me personally, I'm like, well, those are my favorites. And then I'm like, actually, no, now it's those ones. And then, you know, I move quite a lot between different remedies being my favorites, but I do have some old friends and stuff. So because you've only got the 30 there, have you found that like that you've had an affinity now to one that maybe you didn't before the Oracle deck? And if so, what is it?
Yeah. I think Apis is one that surprised me. That was one I think I didn't fully understand the depth of Apis until I worked with it in this way. And I had a really cool moment. I was on holiday with my partner, and he has he's had a lot of knee injuries. So his knee was flaring up just before we left. And then while we were there, I was like, well, why don't you take a remedy? Like, see what calls to you and grab something. And I kind of just muscle tested for one and just, you know, grabbed whichever one came to mind, Apis. And then he was like, oh, I don't want to take Apis. And I was like, okay, I don't know why you don't want to take it, but sure, whatever. And so I was like, fine, like you muscle test for it. Like you use your intuition, you grab whichever one you want. So he like went through and like tested on his in the way that he does it. And he landed on Apis as well. And so I was like, well, I think you have to take Apis now. And
well, and even just the fact that he's having an aversion to it as well is like, well, you know.
Yeah. So he took it, and it was funny because at the time this was the remedy that I was like really moving through. I was really trying to figure out, what do I need to write here, and I was just not able to wrap my head around it. And so he took it, and it helped almost better than anything has ever helped for his knee pain. It was just phenomenal relief. Unfortunately, we only had 30 C, and I think he maybe needed a 200, but he did pretty well with it. And so I started thinking, and I was like, okay, we've never given you Apis before. Why would this be good for you? You know, now that I'm thinking about the mental emotional essence of Apis, and I looked at it, and I was like, oh, he is Apis. He played football, American football. And he was the offensive line. So he was protector. He's protecting everybody. He was the one that would defend, or, you know, he would take care of the people. Exactly. And in life, he is the protector. He takes care of everybody around him. He's self-sacrificing. He's people-pleasing. He works so hard until he gets injured, right? He's got this worker bee element where he's just got to do it, just got to show up and be there for people. And so I started thinking about that, and I was like, oh, well, that's the Apis story. That's what I'm missing. It's that.
Yeah.
So I feel like Apis, and it's come up time and time again in my practice since then, in moms who are busy queen bees, taking care of everybody, claimed all of these things. And that was one that's really transformed for me.
Oh, that's amazing. Do you know that that's actually the Apis mellifera mellifera is the Irish honeybee, and they're actually black bees. That's my husband is a beekeeper. So the proving for that remedy was actually done here in Ireland.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll send it on to you. I think, was it Nuala Ising that did it? I can't remember now, but I think it was. So I have a really strong affinity with that remedy as well, because, you know, it's amazing. And when we were in Dynamis, we had a case of a lady, and Jeremy ended up prescribing her queen bee. But the picture was really similar to the Apis mellifera mellifera. It's cool, and I think it's a remedy that not many people use chronically, but it is really, really good for chronic stuff as well. It's kind of, I think it's more known as an acute remedy, isn't it? Because it's like fast, hot, throbbing, red. It's amazing for mastitis as well, Apis. Oh my goodness. Like I never got mastitis, only on my 4th baby, and we had to move house when he was like 7 weeks old. And I was literally woke up the day we had to move, and my left breast was engorged. I was in so much pain, all red, hot, swelling. I was like the most irritable person. and my homeopath said just take 1/200C of apis. And by the time we kind of got out to our new house, I needed to go to bed. I had to go to bed. I was so tired. It just hit me. And I woke up and the whole bed was saturated because I'd had a massive fever and sweated everything out. And I was fine.
Wow.
1/200C. Boom.
That's
amazing. Amazing.
I love that. Oh, it's, yeah, I agree. It's such a beautiful remedy for I mean, you said the hot, fast, and intense, right? But when I think of people that I've given it to in the last little while, they're hot, fast, and intense, right? They're doing everything and running. And like you just said, like a mom who just had a baby who is moving, right?
Yeah,
There's hot,
moving
fast.
like from the hive to the new hive, you know.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. And what else? Is there any more that you've kind of have had an impact on you?
What were other ones? Sulfur was a hard one for me to create. That was one that that kind of had its own little
Floating
story.
around
Yeah.
in the theory.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. My homeopath had prescribed it to me a few months earlier. And I think sulfur was the last one that I like tweaked and finished because I just couldn't get it. And it was funny because the day that I finished it, my partner came into my office and he was like trying to talk to me or something, and I was so consumed in what was in front of me. I was like just zeroed in. I had not eaten anything in like hours. Had not peed, had not done anything. I was just so focused. My
Wow.
office, I mean, my office is a sulfur mess right now, but it was just like cards everywhere,
Chaos.
little notes on paper, everything. And he came in, he was talking to me, and I was like, oh, my mouse died and nobody's replaced the batteries. And he was like, who's going to replace the batteries? I was like, I don't know. It's still dead. Like, and all of a sudden I was
can't
like,
do anything.
no, all of a sudden I was like, I'm sulfur. Oh no. Like
Yeah.
that's why I can't figure it out, because I'm in it. I am in sulfur. So that was one that I took sulfur as soon as I realized that.
Yeah,
And
counteract the kind of the mini proving that you're doing. And so
yeah.
how do we use the cards, Paula? Like obviously with, you know, traditional tarot and then oracle, there is a bit of a different style, but as well you can merge all these styles and find your own way intuitively with any deck. So have you kind of, I guess, have you come up with a way that, you know, it's nice to have a little booklet to get the guidance and then you can go off on your own tangent with it? What's the, you know, what's the little bit of structure there when we're using the cards?
Yeah, I made a little book, so it comes with a little bit of information and some spreads that I really like that I found are good for it. My way of using it, I will sometimes just pull a card. It's really, really good for pairing with journaling. That was really my intention. It has these prompts that are really designed to get you to dig deeper. So what I'll often do, I love to tell stories with it. I find the remedies play so well together. And so I'll pull a couple cards and I'll let them kind of tell a story of what's going on. But I've used it a little bit choosing remedies. I'll give it some energy and let it kind of inform me and kind of say, what am I missing? Like, is there a remedy that I'm not thinking of that might come out? And of course, it's only 30 remedies, but sometimes that gives me insight, or it prompts me with a question that I can use in a case that I can reflect on. I've had clients ask if I can pull a card for them during our session, and we kind of get a little bit of insight, and it's always interesting what comes up there. But I love people to do what they please with it and build a relationship with it and let it become kind of a storyteller for them. But storytelling is really the big thing for me, I think, is that each card tells its own story, and each card has the potential to be a conduit for shifting your story. So
that's cool. Yeah, because I think I feel into that in a way that's like those cards are going to reveal something to you that's often hidden. You know, and sometimes say for instance it's Apis and you're not even thinking about it because you're so busy, you're so consumed with your busyness, you're just in it the whole time, and then you pull a card to say what do I need to be aware of today, for instance, and then out comes Apis, and it's like that realization that you need to be aware of how busy you are, so slow down.
Yeah.
Is that kind of part of the
Yeah,
oh,
absolutely.
amazing.
Yeah, I think that like I called them odes sapere because I wanted it to be invitations to dare to know, love, and trust yourself.
Yeah.
And when I was making the cards, I started to find patterns through them where there's certain cards that really invite you to know something more deeply about yourself. There's ones that really invite you to love yourself more deeply, and there's ones that invite you to trust yourself more deeply. So I love that you put it that way because I think that it's a daring, it's an invitation, it's an initiation, it's a catalyst, something to spark something in you to shift the way that you're thinking or behaving or operating. So yeah, I really like
I love that. I can't wait for them, to get my hands on them. And it's like as soon as they arrive, I'll share them on my stories and my feed. And
Cool.
obviously, I'll have a pack of them open. So if you do come into the Emporium here in Inniscrone, then you can, have a play around with them and just to see what comes up, and that will invite you then to purchase them and take them away to have in your own toolkit. So it's really exciting, Paula. It's so cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. And like in homeopathy, we have, remedies from all different kingdoms. So did you choose mineral, plant, animal, any nosodes in there? I think you did carcinosin, didn't you?
Yeah. It's a lot of plants. I'm just looking at them. And
Calc-carb.
Calc-carb is in there. We've got phosphorus, thuya. A few of I laugh at myself because I didn't put cephalinum in, which is very funny because I didn't put serenum in either. It's all very intuitive. Just what felt aligned and correct was what went in there. So there's a reason. But
what about tuberculinum?
Tuberculinum is in there. Yeah. Metarinum is in there. What else? Sepia. Sepia is a big one. I get that card a lot.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, a little blend of all of them. And I definitely, as I said before, I think there will definitely be expansion packs. I'd love to do the matrodonals as a little mini pack because I think those are just such potent, beautiful remedies. So I'd love to do those. And
please, yeah. Well, once we do the Maria Magdalena, Mary Magdalene trituration, I'll send you some of that. And Elise Timmerman calls them the gifts of the mother.
Yeah.
They're such beautiful remedies. For those of you watching that don't know, they're remedies made from mother's milk and umbilical cord, placenta, vernix, amniotic fluid, folliculinum as well, which is also classed as one. That would be amazing. I mean, there's so much scope for you to just play and design and create another deck.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I love that at the beginning you mentioned being the feminine flow, the banks of the river, the masculine banks hold it. And it was really cool with this deck. I was very stuck in a very masculine practice. The practice of homeopathy had become very masculine for me. And I was feeling very burnt out and stagnant, and this deck of creation was something that really reignited that feminine in me. So I love that you said that earlier, because I think that's been a big process for me the last few months, has been leaning into the feminine and trusting the cards and trusting my intuition on them, and just creation is so healing.
Very much in your womb space then, aren't you? I often wonder actually, Paula, like who was Hahnemann's mirror in the feminine, like he was so in his work, wasn't he? And like, where was the woman in his life, and what was she doing? And, how did she kind of bring the energy of, you know, femininity into his life. It would be so good to find, you know, find more information out on that and tap into it a little bit more to understand his psyche, I suppose.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. That would be really neat to find out. I think that because you're right, he was very masculine, very science experimentation. And I find that so interesting because so many homeopaths were male, right? Throughout the years. And now so many are female.
Yeah.
And it sparks a lot of curiosity for me of how the feminine is transforming homeopathy and shifting
Ooh,
it.
get tingles just coming. Well, it's so true. Homeopathy is really going through such a transitional, you know,
Mhm,
shift at the minute. It's it's in a renaissance because it's exploding and it's becoming more and more popular. But the whole way of kind of prescribing
mhm,
and using the organon in a much more feminine way,
mhm.
you know, that is happening, and it's happening so incredibly quickly at the minute. All the stuff that so many homeopaths are doing, so many amazing things. And, you know,
Yeah.
I think all of us are trained classically, but there's a real contemporary flavor starting to unfold in homeopathy where we know we need something a little bit more progressive and
Mhm.
to unpack the classical stuff but at a deeper level. And Jeremy Sher does that in Dynamist. You know, he's like, our book that we utilize in homeopathy, that's our kind of our blueprint, is called the Organon, and it's like a spiral when you read it, you know, and it's like a labyrinth. So you have the double spiral in and then the second spiral out.
Oh, I
And
love.
yeah, so when you read it, he said you have to read it around 7 times to get to that understanding of it, that it kind of weaves you in and then it
Mhm.
kind of weaves you back out again.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
apparently we're meant to read it once a year for 7 years.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I have not done that.
For me, it's like I've tried to read it front to back so many times, but I just
Mhm.
kind of end up holding it in my hands and asking for the guidance, or, you know, what is it that I need in this moment? And then I'll read, or I'll Google something on an aphorism and then I'll go and read that, you know, or somebody might say, oh, look at aphorism number, you know, 97. And
Mhm. Yeah.
but I think the lady from 1M, the 1M
Yes.
podcast, I think she's doing something around the Organon at the moment.
Yeah. I think she might have finished it. I'm trying to remember. I think she might have where she was reading each aphorism, right? And then I think she
Yeah,
talks about it a little
yeah,
bit. Yeah, I
yeah.
was listening to that.
Kelly Callanan, isn't it? Kelly Callanan. Yes, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
amazing. Well, look forward to that. But actually, just before we wrap up, Paula,
Yeah.
are you doing like with the Oracle? Because obviously you're taking clients, you're doing consultations, but have you crafted like, you know, book in for a reading with the cards? Is that part of your offerings, or?
Funny. I haven't done that, but I've thought about it. So maybe you're nudging me a little bit.
Oh yeah. Oh, that would be cool. Like, because you could do like a 1 hour oracle reading with the cards, and these are the
That's true.
remedies that, you know, you can journey with or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love that. I have thought about it because I really do enjoy reading them and uh yeah, I feel like they're an extension of me at this point. So
Okay.
I'm gonna take that question
Book
to
me
heart.
in. Book me in. Book me in for a session.
I love it. I love it.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you so much. It's been really, really lovely to chat to you and get to know you more, because we've only known each other from Instagram.
Yes, yeah.
And it's the first time we've had a really lovely, proper connection. So thanks so much. I wish you all the very best with the
Thank
Oracle
you.
cards, and I'm going to promote the hell out of them. And I can't wait to have them here in the Emporium. I feel really blessed. So thank you so much. And
Thank
thanks to
you.
everybody out there watching. Any questions, you know the drill, post them in the comments, or you can contact Paula or myself when I list our details below.
Amazing. Thank you, Janie.
Thank you so much. Alrighty, guys. Take care. Bye now.